Good evening, investors. My name is Kevin Vincent. I'm part of the MarketsMojo product team, and today I'll be taking you through some of our very well-performing strategies, and I'll just take you through the platform as well, so you can kind of take full advantage of all the premium services that we have to offer. So you can kind of consider getting subscribing for our to the MarketsMojo platform, and if you are a paid client, basically you can just kind of understand how you can take full advantage of the platform. Before we get started, I'd like to kind of show you the disclaimer. We emphasize that all investors should use the information on the webinar merely as a resource to enhance their own research and understanding. Nothing discussed in this webinar should be considered investment advice. Strongly advise all participants to check with certified experts before taking any investment decisions. Investments in securities is subject to market risks. Past performance should not be construed as a guarantee for future returns. Investments in equity and equity-related securities involve a high degree of risk, and users should not invest unless they can afford to take the risk on their investments. Right. So we'll get started with the one thing that a lot of investors do not do, which is basically researching a company. So I'll just go to the MarketsMojo website, and just a moment. Can you share the screen, please? Great. Okay, so it's very straightforward, really. Even if you are an unpaid client, and basically all you have to do is search for a company. I'll tell you what the difference between an unpaid and paid client is. But basically, let's look for a company, for a company that I already have in my list, IDD Cementation. Okay. So now, basically when we started MarketsMojo, we basically had a very simple thought in mind, which was that numbers basically tell the entire story. You don't really need to put your head into this, because once a human basically starts reading and essentially starts evaluating the data for every company, biases starts to creep in. Eventually, not always, but it will always eventually creep in. And will always turn your rational decision making into an irrational decision making based primarily on these biases, right? So IDD cementation, right? Now let's say a person, like yourself, right? Your friend tells you that IDD cementation is looking very good. I might want to consider buying the company. There is someone told me that there is momentum for itself, and न्यूज़ में भी किसी ने बोल दिया कि company is looking strong. Based on that, if let's say I go and buy the company, I have fallen to the biggest bias that is out there, which is fear of missing out, FOMO for short, right? So that is one bias. Another very popular bias is, let's say मेरे दोस्त ने बता दिया कि आप खरीद लो ये company, and I consider I actually do my due diligence. I actually research the company. And I invest a decent sizable chunk. Now what happens is, afterwards, obviously once you do determine it's a good company, it's not necessary that it will remain a good company forever, right? Companies' fundamentals will change, the markets will change. It's an ever evolving organism, right? So basically what you have to what people don't apparently do is basically they start looking for information that does not goes against their view, right? Because people often don't like to be told that you are wrong, right? So oftentimes whenever there is pieces of information that contradicts the investor's view, the investor will often tend to avoid it, or tries his or her best to make sure that to refute or refute the claim or refute the new piece of information. Similarly, if the information basically that comes their way confirms their view, right, which essentially proves that मैंने जो सोचा था is right, they likely give it more importance. Hence the bias is referred to as the confirmation bias. So हमारा research, the way we basically are able to complete our research on all the listed companies, is basically we evaluate the companies primarily and only based on data. All of our methodology essentially cuts through all the biases, all the important biases there is out there. It's completely automated, and that's how we essentially have coverage on all the 4,000 listed companies, right? Now talking about ITD cementation. Now now a company on our platform is evaluated based on 4 factors, and these factors are represented as dots. The first green dot represents the quality dot. Now quality is the long-term fundamental strength of the company and is based on 3 factors, underlying factors. The first one is management risk. As I just mentioned, it is completely objective based, so we are not really looking at the who's behind the company. We are seeing if the companies, जो management है, उनका output numbers में क्या दिख रहा है. So we're going to look at the ROE, the ROC, which is highlighted right here. The next factor we're going to look at is growth. So in growth, we are looking at what is the sales growth looking like over the last 5 years. Similarly, what is the EBIT growth looking like over the 5 years? What has the growth been like? Has it been consistent, volatile? The various other factors that are evaluated before this factor. The last one, capital structure. Capital structure, we are focusing on what is the debt in the how much debt is in the company. That is one. And second is what is the debt serviceability ratios of the company looking like? Can the company, with the amount of operating revenues that it's bringing in, is it able to service its interest cost, right? Agar wo ratio goes beyond a certain level, this is basically on a very generalized scale. If the company is not able to service its debt, it's not really going to bode well. So this might not be a green box like this. It'll be a yellow or a red box. It depends, right? There's a lot of other factors also involved here. The second factor we evaluate is the valuation. यहाँ पे हम बस देखते हैं कि कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन क्या है on a relative basis. मतलब हम देख रहे हैं कि compared to the industry, कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन क्या है against, so हम उनका peer comparison कर रहे हैं. Second is, sir, हम उनका historical comparison भी कर रहे हैं. We are checking if the company is valuable, like, right? If the price is attractive, fair, expensive, based on its own history as well, right? And if, let's say, if the company's price multiples or earnings multiple is above the industry benchmark, उसका मतलब ये नहीं हुआ कि कंपनी अगर ऊपर चली गई एवरेज के ऊपर, इंडस्ट्री एवरेज के ऊपर चली गई, that doesn't mean that the company is expensive और उसको बेच दो. It is possible that the company is such a good company that it demands to be there, right? Similarly, if the company's price or earnings multiple is under the benchmark, right? The benchmark is this. If it's right here, it doesn't mean that it's a very cheap company and I should quickly go and buy the company. Rather, it is very possible that the company might not be a good company and the market is rightfully discounting it down to those levels, right? So we are taking all that into consideration and we're coming out on the valuation score, which in this case is fair. Third one, financial trend. यहाँ पे we are essentially looking at what is the latest quarterly performance been like, right? And comparing it against previous few quarterly performances, right? So if you see here, the financial trend score for the latest quarter in June 2024 is at 35. Now there are 35 points that worked for the company and there are 0 that didn't work for the company, and hence netting it off, there are 35, the score comes to 35. Now, and this 35 score is represented by this bar chart right here. So if you see, there are the ITD cementation has given a positive, has a very strong streak of quarterly performances since the beginning of 2021, right? And the prices have kind of reacted to it as well very appropriately, right? So that's the third point. Fourth point is technicals, right? So in this case, this might be that one factor that a lot of investors are not familiar with, right? So technical analysis. In this case at MarketsMojo, it's not really looking at what the daily numbers are of what it's. These are not, big disclaimer, these are not intraday calls. These are calls on. These are not even calls. Basically, these are the price is evaluated based on these 7 factors on a weekly and a monthly scale, right? And here we are trying to establish what the long-term price trend for the company is looking like, right? So if you see, there are some legends right here. The green triangle means it's turned bullish. The red dot means it's reverse bullish, so on and so forth. So as you see, The company turned bullish. This green triangle right here. I hope you can see this. Basically, green triangle. The price turned bullish back in May 2023. Right, it's like more than a year now. And the price at that point was 128. Now, since then, it has still been bullish, and the price is, obviously it done very well for itself. It is currently at 561. So we started off at 148. When the price turned bullish on our charts, and it is now currently at 561. So all these four factors, right? They work together, right? The quality dot, the valuation dot, the financial trend, the technical analysis, all of them work together and effectively give out a score, right? In the scale of 0 to 100. Now a score of 80 translates to a strong buy call, right? So now, now basically IDD cementation, great. Now it's a strong buy. Now for people who want to know why it's a strong buy, here are the 5 rationales that we have provided, and we have kept it very given a summarized points. Healthy long-term net sales growth with an annual growth rate of 26.47%. Net profits have also grown. Technically, it's also in the mildly bullish range. The ROE of the company is at 18.3 and has a fair valuation at 6.5, 6.5 P/PV value, and it has 22.44% high institutional holdings, right? So this is basically how you evaluate. You can basically go around and evaluate the company. Now, what I've done is basically a very summarized version of it. You can basically always go scroll on at MarketsMojo. The way you can look at the UI is basically all the cards on the left are summary cards, and all the cards on the right are basically cards that allow you to kind of dwell into the data, right? So and one more interesting, for people who like to read reports, you can just click on this download button, right? A verdict report. You have an option of downloading a verdict report. Now I think so the time is 7:18 now, and the verdict report has been downloaded, and then based on the 7:18, a real-time verdict report on the company has been generated. The company has a very healthy growth in long-term net sales, outstanding results, mildly bullish, fair valuation, and high institutional holding, right? And basically, as you go down, you'll see it's a strong buy company. And why it's a strong buy company? All the rationals have been pointed out here, right? And if you keep scrolling down, as I should mention this, all the reports for all the listed companies are all dynamically generated. So basically, what you're seeing, post this page, all the pages are going to be completely unique depending on what the company is, depending on the company, right? So that's what our verdict report. Now, I think so these are the good points as to why it's a strong buy. It's growth in net profits. Then you can just, these are some detailed points that you can kind of read through. Stock is technically in the bullish range. A little bit more data on that. Valuation is very attractive. Institutional holding is high, and it is raising these FII's confidence. Now this part is something that is very interesting. It's part of the Mojo stocks. It represents the top 1% of the company. It is basically only 1% of the entire market qualifies to be part of the strategy. Now, what is the Mojo stock strategy? I'll get to it right away. So Mojo stocks, as you can see right here, if you click on the top Mojo stocks, you get to see our the entire list of companies that are available right now. So now Mojo stocks represents the top 1%, and it has been on the platform ever since we began. So we have a kind of a big history, right, behind all the companies that are available. So now, as you see, now there are some companies that basically entered in the list back in 2020 and have already exited, right, and have generated a very significant return of 491% return, while the benchmark only gave 64% return. Not a bad number, but this is staggering by itself, right? And if you keep scrolling down, you'll see all positive performance that have come our way. Based on these calls, most of them are closed. The red stripes that you can see are still open, right? If you keep scrolling down, you'll see some of the result, the performance as are not cherry picked. Rather, you can see the returns are starting to fall, and eventually you'll start seeing some reds as well, right? So this is basically the Mojo stocks. I'll show these statistics as well. But the second strategy is the hidden turnaround strategy. Now, hidden turnaround strategy is the best way of saying it is basically it's for a very aggressive investor, and these are companies that are still not highly rated, and there is a huge scope of potential here as the company might just be turning around, right? A classic way of identifying these companies would be these are companies that have just given a good strong quarterly performance after a streak of negative performances, right? And as you can see, these are some of the companies that are in the current list and are doing quite kind of very well for itself, right? Now the third strategy, reliable performers. Right? Now, reliable performers are companies that are showing the best class growth. Now, these are slightly conservative compared to hidden turnaround, where as it says, these are companies that are reliable performers. Again, we have a list of companies that are out there that are open, and these are not there are companies that also enter these lists, right? And to stay updated on that, you unfortunately it's not a free feature, so basically you need to be a paid subscriber to get access to the latest updates, along with the option of getting the entire list, existing list. The fourth option, momentum now stocks. Momentum now stocks are basically companies that have some momentum going on in any market phases, right? So as you can see there, we also have a current list right now, and you need to be a paid subscriber. I think there is an offer going on right now for 16,999 for 2 years. You can take advantage. I think you might get this discount, or the prices might be slightly higher for you. But basically, you can take advantage if you can still get access to this. You can, once you click on this, you can get, I think, access to all the 4 strategies and be alerted whenever the companies have entered or exited the list. Right? So these are the 4 strategies that we have. I'll just take you through the statistics once again. That we kind of highlighted yesterday in yesterday's webinar. Just a moment. There we go. So these are the Mojo 1 performances. So basically these 4 strategies are part of the Mojo 1 package, right? So hidden turnarounds, you have your momentum now, you have reliable performers, and you have your Mojo stocks. As you can see, the average, just a moment. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, the average return for the strategy is at 31% for hidden turnarounds, while the benchmark performance has been 19%, thus giving an alpha of 12%. The success rate on an absolute basis stands at 68%, while the benchmark, against the benchmark, it is at 57%, right? Now, as these are the numbers that are clearly available out there, and we can see there's a clear winner, right? In terms of success, in terms of your absolute and your against the benchmark, and this is the Mojo stocks, right? The alpha is also the highest at 20%, right? So basically this is, you can kind of take advantage of the entire 4 strategies that we have in place. All you have to do is kind of subscribe to the package that I just highlighted. Maybe you might, if, in case you don't get the 16,999 package, you can basically shoot me an email at kevin@marketsmojo.com. We might be able to help you out in case you can't find that offer, right? Now these are the returns analysis. So let's see now, I've obviously given you a brief about all the companies that are in the list and why are they in the list. And this is basic. We have very steady stream of clients, people who love us, right? And one of the big reasons is because of this slide alone, right? The strategies that we have work, right? And this slide kind of highlights it. So we have the returns analysis slide. We have 53% of the companies in the hidden turnaround strategies that have generated about 20% return. Then we have 9% who have generated 10 to 20% return, and we have companies that have generated negative returns as well, right? However, you can see majority of them are in the positive side of things. So we are not gods, but our strategies kind of have given these following performances. the highest performance, so this is kind of like a summary point, the highest performance that a hidden turnaround company has given stands at 218%. Lowest performance, unfortunately, is minus 35%, but we make a point to cut our losses once we do realize that, okay, there is no way the company can make a revival now, and there are much better companies that we can jump on to, we can switch to, in order to basically not lose the momentum, right? Talking about momentum, the highest return was at 229%, and the loss hand also unfortunately has the highest lowest return of minus 37%. The Mojo stocks 234% and 225% for reliable performers. Mojo stock also very impressively has a very negative lowest return of minus 9% compared to the other three strategies that we have in place. You can see this is fairly riskier, right? The hidden turnaround momentum now level slightly conservative, right? Okay. So coming back to the there we go. Coming back to the website, right? To the MarketsMojo platform. Basically, these are the 4 strategies. Again, if you can get the chance, hit this link. I think you can find it on your on the website, or if you can't find it, basically make sure that we'll send you an email across. It essentially gives you the option of availing this offer, right? Anyways, so once we do give you a bunch of ideas to invest in, my personal belief is that that's not the end of it, right? You basically can't. An entire investment journey doesn't end at the start. Doesn't start and end at the strategies level. Basically, you need to kind of have a steady stream of advices that are coming your way, and also you need to look at it from a portfolio approach, right? Once you do look at it from a portfolio approach, you are eliminating your unrewarded risk that you are taking, right? Obviously, there are risks that you cannot avoid. For example, if you're invested in a company and the company mein aag lag gaya, right? Like, so one of the warehouse burns down, you can't diversify that risk away. Obviously, the company can with insurance, but maybe a better example would be there is there is something that happens with the software, the software fails, right? For a IT company, or one of their top clients backs out, right? You can't basically do anything about it as an investor, right? You can't diversify that risk away. But what you can diversify is basically having too much money in a specific sector, too much money in a specific stock, too much money in a specific market cap, right? You can diversify those kind of risks away, which you would anyways not be rewarded for, right? So that is basically, so the portfolio approach is the best approach. And a second and the third bias in the entire webinar is the bias of people holding their losers for far too long, because people often tend to not have the habit of selling. Selling is often, people would like to, the amount of hurt that people go through when it comes to selling is a lot higher compared to the happiness that people gain when they make the same level of profits, right? So, so basically that's people unfortunately do not sell, right? So this model portfolio takes care of all those takes care of this bias, along with takes care of the entire thing from a portfolio approach. So let's start and create a model portfolio. Let's say the portfolio, I want to start a portfolio of 5 lakhs, and I have a risk profile of, let's say, a moderate risk profile. Just to give people some idea what a risk profile is, people often so everyone has a risk profile, and a classic way of identifying this would be to see how easily can you stomach volatility, right? अगर volatility बहुत high है और आपको देखा नहीं जा रहा prices, then your risk profile is very likely high, right? This is a very simple and obviously very simple test. There are a lot of questionnaires that you can fill that are available online that will help you identify what your risk profile is. Another way of looking at risk profile would be like to see how long it will take for you to how long your investment horizon is. If let's say for myself, I want to retire by the age of 60, right? I have a lot of years ahead of me. I have decades ahead of me. So my risk profile will be very aggressive because I am a pretty young guy and I can afford to lose the entire amount and make it all back by the time I reach my objective and on in by the age of 16, right? So there was just a small brief about risk profiles, but anyways, let's say I choose moderate, okay, and I have clicked on the disclaimer. I generate my model portfolio. Now at this moment, it's basically evaluating what are the top options that are available in the market. So it is checking the top stocks and making sure that it's creating a very completely diversified portfolio. We make sure, unlike small case, the stocks are not completely static. It is not going to be the same for you and me. If I create a portfolio, maybe a month later, it's a very strong possibility that the companies might not be the same. So in this case, I've created a portfolio, 12 stocks, 9 sectors, highest is to FMC, NBFCs. 100% I have good, excellent quality financial trend and are mildly or better technical trend. And there we go. This is basically it. This is a list of companies that you have available along with the quantity. So we are not just telling you कि आप ये खरीद लो, ये खरीद लो, ये खरीद लो. हम बता रहे हैं कि आपको कितना खरीदना चाहिए. Right? Click on continue. And this is basically your deal sheet. So basically we are not a broker, so we basically can best do is guide you in terms of what can be bought, and provide you kind of a deal sheet that you can execute it yourself with a broker online, or you can just talk with your RM and get it executed. Now here, so this is a portfolio, we'll be tracking it for you. You'll see the daily gains, what your absolute returns are for the portfolio, what's the performance of the benchmark, the IRRs of both of them, and the cash in hand that you have, and the score of the portfolio. Right? You can add more investments, you can reduce in more investments, and accordingly it will give you the buy and sell orders respectively. Right? So अभी आपको portfolio बना दिया गया है. The work doesn't stop here though. Basically, we'll be tracking the performance of the entire portfolio on an individual security level. So यहाँ पे अगर समझो AS के automotives ने performance, एक कंपनी का quarterly performance next आने वाला है, जो आने वाला है, basically let's say that turns out to be bad, right? So what will happen is, as you may know, as I very clearly highlighted in the start, companies are not, once you research a company, it's not going to be that the company is never going to change, right? A good company can also turn into a bad company. A bad company can also turn into a good company, right? So you need to keep an eye on this. And for most of the people who do a 9 to 5 job, they can't really do this properly, right? Which is why this is completely taken care by us. So I think there are 12 companies. We are taking care of all the 12 companies, evaluating them, making sure that they are not turning bad. And if they do turn bad, we will immediately inform you via email, via notification, via this bell icon that you see right here. And we'll tell you, okay, it's time to move out of ASK or let's say BSE, just an example, and switch over to a much better company, right? And that's how it works. This is a complete cycle ends. And it doesn't end, it's basically a cycle. So basically you get the list of ideas and we are telling you to sell when something goes bad, buy something that is nicely available. And obviously it's not that we are giving you advice on a daily basis. Companies often, the advices that we give are not really short term, but really have a focus on the long term perspective. And it's like a cycle. It keeps rotating and rotating and rotating. I think that's it for today. I think we've just covered 30 minutes and we have explained to you the 4 strategies that are available on the platform, along with how to research companies and basically the model portfolio, which is personally my way of investing. You can avail this offer that is available to you if it is available to you. If it isn't, you can shoot me an email at kevin@marketsmojo.com. I will make sure you get the link. We'll basically open it for you if in case you don't get it. We'll go on to the Q&A session. So Amir, if you have any questions, let's take them. Is any partial withdrawal from market currently? I'm not sure. Anu, I'm so sorry. I can't understand this question. You can rewrite the question again and send it back to us. We'll move on to the next one. Mr. Sanjeev, is it the right time to invest in Mojo stocks in the market conditions and how? And I mean, how should I invest all of the Mojo stocks? Okay, I think it's glad that I got to that model portfolio section. So I would say, sir, from a from an you need to look at it from an entire from a portfolio approach. So I would say what you would do is don't invest in all. By the way, it's really your call. It's all my personal view of how I would do it. Uh, Whenever a company, okay, I'll start by addressing the first part of the question. Now, whenever a company is rated a buy rated or a strong buy company, you can basically go ahead and purchase the company. If the company turns out to deteriorates and leaves the list, or becomes a hold company and to a sell rated company, you might take a call of exiting it. It's really depends on how you want to interpret this. Now, if some people, what they do is whenever the company enters the list, they will buy it. If some of these companies exit the list, they will sell it. So that's how they treat it. And I would say honestly, don't invest all, don't do a lump sum investment in one particular security. Have an SIP approach. You will not tend to miss out on the market. We had done a study internally, and what we've realized is that people who try to kind of time the market will always miss out, right? SIP works best. It will capture everything that is happening in the market, and eventually they have outperformed people who have tried to time the market, and and obviously they have not been successful at it. Next question, please. How to restore a deleted model portfolio? That's a very good question. I think I will have to check that, sir. I don't think we have an option of, or at least on the platform, for our clients to kind of restore an deleted model portfolio. Mr. Avnish, what I could do is I could basically just connect with my technology team and make sure if we have that option. And I will get back to you, sir. You can just shoot me an email at kevin@marketsmojo.com, and we'll assist you if we can recover your portfolio there. Can I gift or transfer my subscription to my friends or relatives? Mr. Samir, you can definitely do that. You can just create a profile for them and basically gift them a subscription. Or we could help you out with that. Actually, it's a good thought. Actually, I think we should definitely come up with something that allows you to transfer subscriptions. We don't have that, but a smart way would be creating an account in his name, and just transferring the account ID password to him, and just gifting him like that, and take advantage of the current prices that we have. Our prices, just like a lot of our Mojo stocks, often have an uptrend. They'll keep going up, right? Unlikely to fall, go towards the downside. So take advantage if any while you can, and yeah, take advantage. Next question. Mr. Milind, what is the holding horizon for a monthly call? We do not give a monthly call. I'm assuming this you're referring to the stock of the month, those calls. So the holding horizon is essentially it's always going to be long term, because the way we research a company, are always our investment horizon is always going to be long term. So it's going to be definitely going to be more than a couple of months. But if the company does change from a quantitative standpoint, and the company is turning out deteriorating in value, in quality, we will tell you if to get out of it. So most of the calls that we provide stock of the month, some of the calls are active for more than a couple of years now. And some of them have exited after maybe 6 months time. So I would say these stock of the month companies are not likely to leave the list on a monthly basis. Rather, these companies will stick around for a while unless something horrible happens, or not horrible, something, if the company deteriorates in value. What you're trying to keep in mind that, as I mentioned, a lot of investors have this big bias of holding on to the losers for too long, right? And we have been trying to resolve, or basically destroy that, cut that entire bias out of the way. And whenever the company turns out to be bad, we don't see its potential that we saw when we published the stock of the month. We often tend to give out a rationale saying that, okay, we don't see it happening. for so and so reason, and time to get out. That is again available only for our paid subscribers. So in case you don't have access to that, it's likely because you are not a paid subscriber. Take advantage of the 16,999 package. I think that's an 83% discount, and you get 2 years with it. I should have added that point. You get 2 years, effectively making the cost close to 8,500. So take advantage while you still can. Next question. Mr. BSK, do you also support in evaluating existing portfolios? Oh, definitely. We have the portfolio optimizer section, sir. So, Amit, can you just show the screen? So what you can do now, sir, is basically go to personal best and fastest way. Personal portfolio. Go to personal portfolio. You will see that you'll find a score, right? A personal score that is going to be, in my case, I have a horrible portfolio, so it's at 56. You can click on action this. Now you can see the analysis part. If you keep scrolling down, you'll see in complete analysis of the company. But if you basically want to action this, see, right? Analysis mein kya hai, okay, these are the weak points, these are the strong points, but what should I do with it? Even with the intelligence, now give me something actionable. So this is basically where it comes into play. Click on action this now, and we'll evaluate the entire portfolio from scratch, and we'll tell you what these are the companies that you should hold. These are the companies you should consider for trimming. In my case, there isn't any, and you should consider them for switching. In this case, there is one tail stock. Now this company is buy rated. However, the quantity that I hold is very less. So if you see, quantity held is only 1. So this, maybe I bought this just to track it, and it is just adding. It's not a good idea when it comes to my entire portfolio allocation. Hence, I should get rid of it. The second one is a very strong sell rated company. It has a very low score of 6, and that's why it's telling me to switch. And if I do switch, it is basically you're not just been asked to get rid of a company, but switch into a better company. So the amount of money that you are left with after you sell these companies comes to 46 lakhs approximately, and I will have a tax liability of 14.25 thousand rupees. Click on continue, and we'll evaluate what are the options of companies that you can consider buying. So in this case, mid cap, you can invest across 4 companies, and for micro you have 1 company that you can invest across. So you can click it, select here, select 4 from this side, and you can see the cash available is also reducing because it's appropriately putting the right amount of money here. I think I can add 1 more, but it is not advisable, so I'll just go with it. If I do add, see, it's saying you have added more than recommended. It's still added it, but it is also giving an highlight. At the end of the day, it's your portfolio, so this is what we would suggest you go forward with. Click on continue, and as mentioned, we are not a broker, so basically this is the final output, how it will look like. And as we are not a broker, this is all happening on paper. These are basically the deal sheet that you will get access to, so you can actually go and execute it. This is basically how you can improve your existing portfolio. Do we have any more questions? Paul, does the model portfolio still exclude the Mojo 1 stocks? If so, when can we expect a portfolio based on the Mojo 1? Sir, so I think you're referring to the model portfolio based on the Mojo, the 4 strategies. So that is in development actually. It is we don't have we have not come up with a launch date for it yet, but it is in the works, and we are expecting it to come out and make some a lot of Paul, you're not the only one who's asking for this. We have a lot of other clients who, I think you represent a very decent chunk of our entire user base, who's kind of looking forward to this. So we will, once we are ready, we don't want to make sure that the portfolio, basically we come out with the right product, especially when it comes to money. And once we have a launch date, we will make sure that it is out there. I'm very happy that we have a lot of questions today. So it's a follow-up, I think, question. I meant the stocks that I purchased before being a Mojo market subscriber evaluation. Right. So I think that's what it is. So the personal portfolio section, right, which is BSK, is basically it's something that it's your own portfolio. You can upload it, right? You can upload it via directly or via a broker, or you could basically search an ad for those companies and see, evaluate, understand what the company is looking like, and maybe do an evaluation and kind of see how we can optimize it, right? So that's how it works. Do we have any more questions? Okay. So we do not have any more questions. I'm very, by the way, very flattered that we had these many questions. We often don't get these many questions. Uh, Anyways, thank you. Again, just to get access to the services that I mentioned, the four strategies, the model portfolio, and the advice on all the listed companies. Take advantage. This is only for the premium subscribers. So take advantage while you still can. I think the offer that we have right now is effectively 16,999 for 2 years. That is, that is. Let's pull out the calculator and kind of figure out what is the monthly number that we're looking at. So they're effectively paying like close to $700 for each month, and you get access for 2 years. And pretty sure if you have a sizable capital, you can kind of recover that amount very quickly. The ROIs will be pretty good. Anyways, 16,999 for 2 years. Take advantage while you still can. It effectively comes to 700 rupees per month. Make sure you, and obviously their proof is in the pudding. So take advantage while you still can. The 16,999 will not last for long. And like our Mojo stocks, these are always going on an uptrend, the prices. So take advantage, and good luck in the markets, everyone, and all the best.